Hi, and welcome back to our continuing study on Holy Week, a day by day. Today is Thursday, and a lot of events happened on Thursday, and we're only going to look at a couple of those events. The first one we're going to look at is the Last Supper. Supper is recorded in Luke's Gospel, the 22nd chapter, verses 19 and 20. In verse 19, Luke writes, "And Jesus took bread, gave thanks, and broke it, and gave it to them, saying, 'This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me.'" And one of the things we need to understand is that the bread, the unleavened bread that was used for Passover and that is used uh, in communion, or used here at the Last Supper, it had significant meaning to the Jewish people. It was called the bread of affliction because it was tied to their time of bondage in Egypt. And when they used it as part of the Passover, it was a reminder of that bondage. And Jesus took the bread and broke it and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, which is given for you. This is my body given for you." Here, Jesus is giving the bread even more significant symbolism, as it represents the affliction that Christ's body will endure on the cross for our sin. It also speaks back to Isaiah's prophecy. Isaiah wrote, "He was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities." And then Jesus finishes that sentence with, "Do this in remembrance of me." Unleavened bread was a bread of remembrance. They were to remember their time in bondage. In that same way, we are to remember when we partake of communion that Christ suffered for our sins. And Jesus really personalizes it, and he uses that personal pronoun you. "This is my body broken for you." Then Jesus took the cup, verse 20. Jesus took the cup, saying, This is the cup of the new covenant in my blood, which is shed for you." Again, this harkens back to Isaiah's prophecy. "The chastisement for our peace was upon him. By his stripes we are healed." And Jesus is intentionally contrasting his new covenant of atonement with the old covenant of the law. And again, it is personalized. "This is my blood shed for you." Christ paid a personal cost for each of us. His body, his blood was shed that our sins, making an atonement for our sins, that we could be forgiven and come into a reconciled, be redeemed, have a reconciled relationship with a holy God. And that's the true meaning of Christ's sacrifice on the cross. And it is our prayer that during this Holy Week that you would come to realize the sacrifice, the atonement, and accept Christ's offered salvation. Thank you, and join us again.